Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Ask a STEM Star. I'm Dr. Bendu Bayan.
And I'm Ami Bakare.
And today we are delighted to have another amazing STEM Star on the show. We have our coach, Uche, and she is going to talk to us a little bit about her work, not only as a mechanical and systems engineer, but also now as the founder of her own company called the Exceptional Leader University, and how she is working to bring mentorship to women who would like to enter the STEM fields. So, welcome, career coach Uche Mabel.
Thank you very much. Excited to be here.
Well, we are delighted to have you, and we just are very, very blown away by your accolades and things that you've accomplished over your career. And I want to kind of jump right in with questions about how you got to where you are today. We've talked to some engineers on the show before, and we realize that the E in STEM for women is potentially more challenging than some of the other fields because it is so heavily male dominated. So could you tell us a little bit about how you decided to major in engineering and how you picked the undergraduate institution that you chose to attend?
Those are actually very good questions. I get those questions all the time. So for me, engineering was not even a concept that I was even thinking about growing up. I just knew that when it came time for me looking at TVs, we had broken TVs around the house. I was like, listen, I'm going to fix that. Or if it wasn't broken, sometimes I would try to go and reverse engineer to fix that or to create something very different. So it was always for me just being inquisitive. One reason why engineering just was like a necessity for me. My mom growing up, she was a single mom. My dad passed away in 1985 and she had 7 children. And as a result of that, I don't know if you've ever seen those huge cars where you can put 5 kids in the back. That was us. And She would always have issues. She didn't know how to fix cars. So she would drive it until it broke. And, it might need like oil or something. And I just said, you know what? I'll be glad when I could help her fix her car. And me talking to my counselor at school, and she said, hey, Uche, I think engineering would be great for you. I was doing a lot of math and science in school. So she recommended engineering. And I was like, I want to be a mechanical engineer. And my goal in life was simply to get a degree and to be able to fix my mom's car whenever I would come home so that she wouldn't have to take it into the shop. That was like one of the biggest things. And the reason why I'm from Texas, and I chose to go to a historically Black college and university, Prairie View A&M, because my counselor went there. She said, you want to make sure that you get in an environment that's going to support you, that's going to help you, that's going to continue to push you. And she said, I recommend Prairie View A&M for you. And that's where I went. And it was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life to this day.
Wow. Well, let me just start out to say shout out to your mom for, holding it down. That's, a beautiful and touching story, actually, and that just that bit of motivation is taking you so far. So I really appreciate you sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Yeah. So in addition to your undergraduate, I see that you have 2 master's degrees. Which, get it, sis? Yes. And so you have an MBA and then you also have an MS degree. And so I'm curious, how did you decide that you wanted those 2 degrees? And then also, why did you decide to get them?
So those are good questions. So I knew that when I first started working, listen, I left when I went to school in Texas. I said I had been in Texas all 21 years of my life, and I needed to go do something different. So, of course, a person that was working one of the defense companies, aerospace industries, he went to Prairie View. He said, hey, we have opportunities in Tucson, Arizona, so we think that you should come out there. came out there, interviewed. Great. I started on the production floor. And if anyone knows who's ever worked a production floor, it's usually like industrial engineers. But there's like, you were managing products, you're managing the time, the shop floor control, and you want to make sure that everything gets taken out the right time, the right way, because if the manufacturing floor ever broke down, that was costing the company money. Well, I knew for me, I needed to be able to understand the concept of why this operation works the way it works. And I said, I need to understand the money part, because if it broke down, I need to understand the impact of that. And I wanted to understand and work from an organizational standpoint. How can I help the organization be better? I wanted to understand how you create an organization. How do you make it be better? When you hire people in, how do you know what levels to put them in? So I said, you know what? I was talking to someone, they said, hey, you might be interested in getting an MBA, but not a regular MBA, Uche, get one in technology management. Because you have to, this was back in the early 2000s. And this is right when online and all that stuff started bubbling up in the early 2000s, online communities say, hey, you might want to get into technology management. And that's what I did. And it has helped me because it gave me a different standpoint of how to look at a problem whenever I'm faced with something. Now, me getting my second degree in systems engineering, that just happened. After leaving manufacturing, I became a systems engineer. And as I was working with my MBA, I was managing projects. And then I got into systems engineering, which was like really understanding from concept to operations, how a total system works. And requirements, looking at how you design it, looking at how you do integration and testing, and then acceptance tests, and then when it gets shipped out. And my managers and my mentors just said, hey, we might want to get a master's in systems engineering. And I did not want to go back. Let me just be honest. I was like, I don't want to go back again. But it was a great decision because the school I went to, which was Johns Hopkins University, the professors were people who were actually working in industry. So when we would get projects, it was actually applicable to what was happening in that day, in the time that was happening. So it wasn't as if I couldn't apply it. I was able to apply it to my job, which helped me thrive even faster. And I just came up to speed whenever I got assigned a task or on a project. I understood exactly the words, the verbiage, and what they were looking for.
Well, now let me just butt in and say that doesn't just happen, okay? Because none of us tripped and fell and landed on a second master. So, props for that. And, I think that oftentimes just people see, the science side and they don't consider, some of the things you've mentioned, how the money works and how, there are all these other aspects to engineering. And so that leads me to my next question, which is, what is a common misconception in general that you think that people, or more specifically young girls or young women, have about engineering and have about, going into engineering and what it's going to be like? What are some common misconceptions that you've come across that you've had to dispel or that you found to be untrue?
Well, I think the biggest thing is they don't know what it is. So, when you are talking to like elementary school girls or even middle school, and even the fact that even makeup, right? The fact that you can now use how to make sure that it's matching your skin tone, or the fact that if they're getting a project to build something, or even music, right? You're going online, you're looking at different products, building something, coming up with a design and executing it is really engineering. And I think just in general, the concept of what it is, the way that we are teaching it, they don't know what it is. They don't know how to apply it. So I just have to keep reminding them and making sure that whatever they are engaged with or whatever they're working on, to remind them and to put in engineering types of concepts so that they can understand that what you're doing right now, you're engineering a problem. The fact that you are looking at it, you're trying to provide solutions. You may have hardware with it, you may not, but you are looking at it from an engineering lenses, but you just don't know that you're doing that because we're calling it different things. So I like to apply those concepts with something that they love so that they can say, oh, this is cool. I like doing this. Because, I mean, you know, one of the things that we used to do all the time before COVID was we'll go into school, we'll have projects where they would build things, but it was things that they were passionate about. And I think that's really the biggest nomenclature, is that they don't know that they may be doing engineering things, but it looks like it's something different.
Okay. Yeah, I like how you've described that because honestly, me personally, I don't altogether understand. I don't altogether understand what engineering is, and so that's kind of why I like doing the STEMs to Stars, because it gives me a chance to even just like hear about like what other people are doing and like what their different jobs are. So definitely stuff like this helps. So the next question that I'll ask is about advice that you would even just give to like a young girl that's maybe in high school who's interested in pursuing engineering. Like, what kind of advice would you give to them?
The biggest advice I would have for her is reach out. So if your school has people that's coming in to doing any type of STEM programs, reach out to them and let them know that you're interested. So that way, when you have volunteers come in, those volunteers can definitely give you advice. I know, so where I work at Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Lab. We have something called the Aspire program, where we allow high school students to apply to come and do unpaid internships. So you must be a junior, but if you don't ask, right, you won't know about those different types of programs. So I think that's the first thing, is to make sure that you let your teacher know or let your counselor know that you're interested, and that way they can point you into the right direction as well. You definitely have MESA. They can go online and look up MESA. MESA that is also in high school, and that's a great way for people to get involved. For students in high school to get involved if they don't know about it. They also have, like, you may have NSBE Junior. You may also have like the Society of Women Engineers that may have junior programs in the university as well. So those are some of the things that you can do. And if you have a teacher who is teaching technology classes in school, reach out to them as well, because they may be able to link you up or sync you up with someone that you may not be aware of.
I love those tidbits, because I think that, you know, sometimes maybe a young lady might have some interest in, just like what you're saying, makeup, or, you know, just certain things that they might not realize has a place, you know, in engineering. So I love that you pointed that out. Now I want to switch gears a little bit, because I know something that we talk about a lot on the show is just the journey. And, you know, someone might be looking at you and say, well, you have it all together. You knew, you know, where you wanted to go to school, and you knew, you know, you had it together. But what were some of the hurdles that you had to overcome when applying for schools, when taking some of those courses? Were there any courses that gave you a lot of trouble, or even just maneuvering being an engineering student? Were there any particularly difficult times, or instances where you know, you had tough times?
Great question. Great question. So listen, right? You read my bio. If you didn't hear it, you read my bio. Work at Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Lab. I have a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. I have 2 master's degrees. I'm the founder of the Exceptional Leader Program. But it still amazes me when someone reads my bio, just how far I've come. Because what you may not know about me is that when I did apply to go to get my undergrad, when you get into engineering, there's an assessment test that you have to take, and they do an assessment to see where you are from a mathematics standpoint. Let me tell you, I was taking that test not knowing what I was doing. So when I was in high school, I only went up to algebra 2. I didn't do pre-cal. I didn't do calculus because no one informed me to do that. But yet, when I came into the university, they had us do an assessment. I failed that assessment. I failed that assessment so bad that the mechanical engineering teacher said, your mom is going to be embarrassed of you. And in addition to that, we're not going to put you in college cal. We're going to set you back and put you in college algebra. See, we have a tendency to internalize our setbacks. But let me tell you here today, don't ever, ever allow someone to tell you what you can't do.
I know that's right.
Because not only did I take that college algebra course, I had 100 when I graduated, when I took that course.
Yeah.
And then they put me straight to calculus. Don't ever, ever, because if I can do it, you can do it too.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think that your willingness to be vulnerable and share that is going to help so many folks that watch this, because again, looking at your bio, looking at your social media, I mean, anybody would look at you and just say, oh, she has it all together. I can't do that. I don't have it all together like she does. And so stories like that are so important to share, because it's not the end shiny product that you see on social media or, online. Is people have had to go through things. And it's also, I want to point out that the person who told you that, because those people have can have a lot of influence on you.
Yeah.
If you weren't already a strong-willed, well-rooted person in your family and your relationship with your mother, someone saying that to you could have broken you.
Yes.
Right. And so it's a testimony to the person that you are and the person that your mother raised you to be, that is not something that, took you down. It's actually something that raised you up. So thank you again for sharing that story.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was, you're right. That was a turning point for me. But if it wasn't for the fact that I wanted to fix her car, that was my why. So my why had to be bigger than my what or my how. And if it wasn't for that, I probably would have strayed. But I said, nope, I got to fix this woman's car. So I agree. It was my why. Your why has to be bigger than anything else for you to keep moving forward.
Yeah, I love that you even just said that, because every time that I talk to, people younger, try to like mentor people, that's always what I mention to them is, what is your why? Because if you don't have a why, or your why is just to make money or whatever, then I mean, you're going to be easily deterred the minute that something bad happens to you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a quotable phrase from today's episode. So my next question is a little bit more of a pivot, because I am an IT person. And so when I see systems engineering, I get excited. And I am very curious to know, what are some of your favorite systems projects that you've worked on? So like, what's your favorite system that you've built or like been a part of that project, and what's it used for?
So for me, right, so information systems and systems engineering are two totally different things. So when I say systems engineering, I am talking about a concept or an idea. So if you're looking to, let's just say if you're looking right now, like with the vaccinations for COVID, right? So back then they're like, hey, we got to figure out what a vaccination is. We have to figure out what a vaccination is. So we have a concept, we have an idea, and we write requirements down of what we need this vaccination to do. And then we begin to design it. And then we begin to test it. And then we go through accept and test, right? And then we do trial tests. We do prototypes of that. And then eventually, whoever is paying for it says, I need to see they need to validate the test. So whatever that looks like for doing a vaccination, and then we sell it off. So when I'm talking about systems engineering, I'm really talking about the entire V of a life cycle of a project that it goes through, from concept, from idea to selling off something to whoever buys it. And for me, the fact that I work in aerospace, so my projects that I work on are usually like multi-million-dollar projects. And I don't have a favorite. They've all been amazing because I get to learn something different from each one of them. So I've worked at Raytheon, I now work at John Hopkins, I worked at GD. So for me, my projects are never small. They are huge, huge projects. And my goal and my mission in life is to keep our nation safe by creating innovative technology. And I'll leave it as that.
That is awesome. All of that is whew. So again, I'm a fan because I just love hearing about all the exciting work that you're able to do because of these specific skills that you have. So again, I want to just stress to our young sis stars watching that what Coach Maple has been able to do is all an extension of this very unique skill set that she's developed. And that's something that makes you marketable in all of these different areas and all of these different, in government and private sector and academia, even if she so chooses. And so that gets me to my next question, which is entrepreneurship. And that's something that's very near and dear to my heart. And so, as I mentioned, Uche is also the founder of the Exceptional Leader University, which is an executive style training and coaching company. And I feel that the want to reach back and help others speaks a lot to your character, and to build a company with that as a mission in mind says a lot about you. And so I'm curious, what clicked with you to say this is something I actually want to pursue, as a creation. This is something I want to turn into a business, a company.
So, one of my missions is to mentor and coach 100,000 women in STEM. And that idea came to me like years ago, but I never took the courage to move forward. And when I gave birth to this idea, it was really on the cusp of 5 women who left an engineering company. 5 amazing women who had gotten their undergrad degrees in engineering, gotten their master's degrees, and as a result of not being heard, as a result of not being seen, as a result of not getting promoted, as a result of not getting paid what they were worth, and as a result of not being able to be authentically themselves, they left the company. And here's what happens when we are not in that pipeline to be positioned for those C-suites, is that we give them an opportunity to say, well, we can't find anyone, or, it's not enough graduating. The reality is that we're there. It's just that we're so fed up fighting the system that we decide to leave to get a higher level position, to get more money, to get paid what we're worth. And then even then we may not even be in the pipeline because we don't really understand what that means. The reality is that in engineering, because it's not so many of us, when someone finally sees us in the workplace, when I say sees us, I mean they give us an opportunity. It may not be the right one that we should take. So I was just really frustrated when I saw that, when I heard that I said, you know what, I have to be part of the solution. So I started the Exceptional Leader University, where my goal is to make sure that we are keeping women in the STEM field so that they have an opportunity to be in the position for those directors, senior directors, vice presidents, C-suite opportunities when they come up. Because reality is we just don't know how to maneuver, right? So when we come into the workplace, we're the only, we feel isolated, we don't feel like we belong, and no one is stepping up to us because it's just not that many of us. So my job is to make sure to get them before they leave, because all those years of going to school, training, think about it, Dr. Coburg, I believe that's her name, who was responsible for the helping with the COVID vaccination. If she wasn't there, just think, if she had quit, right? There would never been a catalyst for anyone to start what she did. And it just burns me, because when I hear stories of women who got their PhDs in engineering or became PhD in science or whatever it was, and they said, I just quit because I didn't belong. And that is someone who is not bringing forth their innovation, their skill set, their expertise, where they can change the world in the future for the better. So that's why, I mean, if you could tell, I'm so passionate about it. That's why I'm very passionate about it, is because we need them to stay in and stay for the fight. And my job is to make sure that they have the skill sets required to fight.
You know, I love that you shared that, because I think a lot of times we hear about this pipeline, and that, you know, there aren't enough folks in the pipeline. And I don't know who said this online, but I saw someone mention, well, what if the pipeline is not necessarily naturally leaking, but people are poking holes in it so that we leave, right? And so when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's the thing, right? So if someone is actively poking holes in this pipe, then yes, people are leaving. And so what's it going to take, you know, to make people see that, you know, we are just as talented, we're just as educated, you know, just as educated, just as highly trained, but need to feel that sense of belonging like everyone else. And so I really admire what you're doing, and the work that you put forth in starting a business that focuses on this. And I'm glad that you mentioned the C-suite. Some of us, you know, that's that's where the money resides. Let's be clear, right? So
well, the reality is that we don't know. So the higher you move up, not just money in salary, but money in benefits, money when the company is doing great, that performance, employee incentive program. Yeah, I'm saying when you're getting 12%, 15%, 25%, but we never know that because we never are able to reach those levels, right? And that's where we need to go, because that's where the money is, the real money.
Well, it has just been a pleasure to speak with you. I want, you know, just in this last couple minutes for you to share how our viewers can get in contact with you. If they want to learn more about the Exceptional Leader University, how can they get involved, and how can they keep up with you online?
Absolutely. So IG, you can find me at Uche Maple, UCHE Maple, MAPLE. And definitely you can go in my bio, and there's a link there where you can find more information about the Exceptional Leader Program. You can find me on LinkedIn with Uche Maple. I'm on there as well. And also on Facebook, you can find me at Ucheonye, Ucheonye Maple. I have my business page there where it gives you all the latest information, all of the events that I'm having. And then also you can go to my website at www.ucheonyemaple.com. That is www.ucheonyemaple.com.
Awesome. Well, I also just must say you have a beautiful name, Ucheonye. It's very beautiful. I mean,
thank you. It means sweet princess. It's Igbo.
It's gorgeous. Well, thank you so much. And again, to our viewers, feel free to follow Coach Uche on all of her social media platforms. We look forward to keeping up with everything that she has going on as well. And we invite you to hit like, hit subscribe if you've enjoyed this video. And also take the time to look at some of our other videos and check out some of the great stories of other STEM stars really doing their thing. And until next time, we'll see you later.
Bye. Thank you.